we want to talk about how the diaspora has supported the events back home with Chajamuka and other pressure groups that are trying to put pressure on the government to begin to listen to the concerns of the people. Obviously, they've been met with heavy-handedness. And just yesterday, I think Sten Zoro was assaulted quite badly by the police. And I know that it's been a long day for you, Elliot. You've been to number 10 Downing Street. You want to give us a summary of why you went there and what you did there?
Indeed. Good evening, Director Fuma. Good evening, our distinguished viewers. First of all, I would like to thank all Zimbabweans in their tens, if not hundreds, who came to support the petition. This petition was a unit of purpose by Zimbabweans of all faiths, of all political persuasions, and of all groupings. We have come to understand, we Zimbabweans, that united we stand and divided we fall. And I think this is a voice that was missing all along. And I welcome that gesture. So today was, I would call it a grand day, in the sense that Zimbabweans, firstly, we assembled at Zimbabwe House, which is the Strand in London. We then marched to number 10 Downing Street and presented a petition to the Prime Minister of UK, Theresa May. I will give our viewers just a glimpse of what was in that brown envelope, diplomatically. We had two main themes in the petition. The first one is that we have realized that of late the government of Zimbabwe have used the brutal force against peaceful demonstrators, peaceful citizens, and we have seen Chajamuka, this flag, also the war veterans have not been spared, and also of late we have got the ZCUG, which is the Zimbabwe Coalition of Unemployed Graduates. All those have been attacked, and brutally so, by the police. So we have recorded that recent escalation of violence against peaceful demonstrators by the government. And we are worried, like anybody else who is in Zimbabwe and globally. And we Zimbabweans outside the country decided to take an initiative to play our role in that regard. And the first port of call was to leave a petition to the UK government. And the reason for that first choice of the UK government is that UK government, is, you are all aware, is the mother of all democracies. And they've got leverage politically, internationally. So it makes sense to start with the UK government so they can put pressure on other governments. Within the petition, there were two themes, as I've said. The first one is for the UK government to put pressure on Robert Mugabe and the ZANU PF government to stop the brutalization of innocent civilians and peaceful demonstrators, and also to restore the rule of law enshrined in our constitution, both the previous constitution and the current constitution of 2013. The second thing was we have of late identified a surge of ZANU PF leadership and cabinet ministers sending their sons and daughters abroad, especially in the Western world, and then using them as the conduits to externalize funds from Zimbabwe, and through their sons and daughters, they've been able to buy properties. We've seen that with Bona Mugabe in Singapore. Today, Mugabe owns multi-million properties in Singapore through Bona, because that's where he went to university. And we've seen the same here in the UK, Kasukuwere being one of them. Kasukuwere sent his son, Chakuzwa Kasukuwere, who is now studying at Swans University. Again, one of the top universities in the UK. And the same sort of process and strategy has been used in terms of externalizing funds. So we Zimbabweans, we are worried about that at the time that we have cash flight from Zimbabwe, to such an extent that we now have cash problems in Zimbabwe because of the very corrupt leadership of ZANU PF that are externalizing funds. So that's one of the themes, and we are saying, as Zimbabweans, we come together and say we are putting pressure on the government of UK to act on such corrupt leadership and their children. And one of it is actually to deport children of corrupt officials and murderers of the kind of Kasukuwere, Robert Mugabe, and others. So yes, those were the main two themes. And I can confirm to the viewers that Zimbabweans and the whole idea of coming together as Zimbabweans was to use our citizenship's right to do so, other than individual organizations. So this was not done in the name of any organizations, although yes, I'm the EU representative for MDC, but there were also 5 other organizations that also supported this endeavor, and we all agreed that we will continue to work together as citizens of Zimbabwe. And yes, the petition was received, hopefully favorable. The fact that we applied very well in advance, and to go through the type of petitions that we're going to present today, and the type of people in terms of their credibility, those we're going to present. And then the Prime Minister of UK then agreed and made the diplomatic decision that yes, she was happy for us to deliver the petitions to the government, and that she was also happy to see the composition of the petitioners. And on record, over 1,270 people signed for the petitions. And at the cut point, I have to emphasize that this was at a cut point of yesterday midday, but the people continued to sign the petition, and even at the number 10, people were still looking for us to sign the petitions. In that regard, I can confirm that it has been a very successful endeavor, and we await the decision by the UK government. But this is a cause for celebration for Zimbabweans out there. Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of the reception there, the treatment by the police, were there any water cannons? Was there any baton sticks, any dogs? Do you think you would be able to deliver a similar petition to President Mugabe of Zimbabwe at State House?
It was quite a contrast to the type of democracy that Robert Mugabe and ZANU PF want people of Zimbabwe to believe, in the sense that we were very professionally received with the smiles, and they were very helpful in actually giving us directions and what to do. And they had our names, and they were, again, to be expected of a resident of a head of state, that only people whose credentials were already security vetted were allowed in, and they allowed us to take photographs. To my surprise, even the police, they actually offered their service to take photographs of us. So it was quite a somber state, and I can't describe it better than to say I've never seen such a professional police force, a guard of honor guarding the president or the prime minister. And if it was in Zimbabwe, as I speak now, maybe I would be speaking with a swollen cheek.
Okay, I can see that the only thing missing there was probably a red carpet, suite number 10 Downing Street. Now, in terms of your attire, and obviously my attire as well, I'll ask you to explain, because viewers must be wondering why we're wearing gowns and cap of knowledge.
Yes. Again, the reason why we are wearing the graduation gowns and the cap of knowledge today is to be in solidarity with the Zimbabwe Coalition of Unemployed Graduates. Hashtag, to be very specific. Of late, we've seen Zimbabwean graduates in the streets, vending, playing football in the street, selling sweets, overlooking Gramombe Center. Here is a scenario, and this is systematic of a government that had failed to create any employment. In 2013, the government of Zimbabwe, ZANU PF to be specific, promised 2.2 million jobs to the people of Zimbabwe. 2.5 years down the line, they've not created any jobs. Rather, they've actually destroyed the few companies that were remaining. So to that effect, we have got over 90% unemployment rate in Zimbabwe. So our attire today is in solidarity with the people of Zimbabwe, the graduates out there who actually worked so hard to graduate, to pass their degrees. The parents paid through their nose for that particular education, some of them using the mega resources that they have, with the view that their children can attain first-class education. And however, most of them, they've graduated, but at the moment, they've no jobs, they've no employment. But again, let me also still on the regalia that we are wearing today, let me make it very clear that it is also a demonstration for those ZANU PF leadership who are sending their children to the Western world instead of using the national education system, that they must stop the hypocrisy. We in Zimbabwe, we know that it is the ZANU PF government that abolished the Cambridge education in favor of ZIMSEC to cut costs on foreign currencies. We Zimbabweans understood that from the point of cutting foreign currency and channeling the foreign currency on capital infrastructure, and we did understood that. But then that hypocrisy whereby Zimbabweans continue to write ZIMSEC examination, and the same cabinet ministers, Minister of Education, Minister of Local Government, the president sending their children to study Cambridge, which they've abolished in Zimbabwe. I think that is really very unfair. And that, by all standards, it is things of leadership that is not accountable and that has no regard to its own people. Only when they start sending their children to national schools, national universities, will they pay attention to managing and also to improve the infrastructure of those educational institutions. So this is what we are saying, to say not to government ministers or the president sending their children abroad for education, which we have in Zimbabwe. The fact that they've destroyed the institutions does not warrant that they should then send their children abroad. They should improve those services for the benefit of everybody in Zimbabwe. So this is our core as the Zimbabwe Coalition of Unemployed Graduates. So yes, this regalia is in both circumstances a theme in solidarity of the unemployed graduates and also a call for the government of Zimbabwe to lead by example and sending their children to national schools, national universities, and national institutions.
Okay, thank you for that answer. My next question involves the petitions themselves. How effective are petitions, especially looking at the Zimbabwe government?
Well, the petitions, that's why globally, the governments, they've got departments that handle petitions. If the petitions were not effective, you probably no any organization would bother, or any government would bother to set up a department that handles petitions. Petitions are a form of diplomacy. And this is why you have got career diplomats who actually go through the robust training to negotiate and also to articulate issues. So yes, petitions have worked in various countries. In the apartheid era, there were lots of petitions, and petitions tend to raise the bar of publicity. Because when you do a petition, you don't just write a letter to say, we want the UK government to put pressure on Robert Mugabe to respect the human rights, to restore the rule of law. You give evidence. It's evidence-based. Today, we've delivered over 200 pages of evidence. So that alone makes the government, the host government, responsible for receiving that petition to go through all those pages. By the time they finish them, they've got a clear idea and evidence-based situation, what is happening on the ground. So yes, they work and they will continue to work. And for your own information, by the time I arrived home today, I'm still going through my messages. I haven't gone through my emails. I know there are tens of emails already in connection to this petition, but I can highlight a few messages that I've already received of solidarity by people in Zimbabwe, by people in the SADC region, by people in other parts of Africa, by people in the United States, by people in Australia, by people in UK, and elsewhere. I can also share with our viewers that for the first time, people have realized that if they give information to our team, that will act accordingly. And we've started receiving information on assets belonging to ZANU PF leadership. I'm not going to be very specific as to whose assets. So far information we've received, but we have credible information of assets belonging to ZANU PF leadership, ZANU PF cabinet ministers. We don't want to jeopardize the investigations, because we have to carry also our own investigation to that effect. And then we then have to review the way forward. But I can assure you that for the first time, Zimbabweans have seen green shoots at the end of the tunnel. And that is a welcome gesture and a welcoming.
Any plans for more petitions?
Yes. What we have decided as people of Zimbabwe and citizens internationally is to escalate. Today, we are saying this is the first leg of a journey, a protracted journey, and we intend to submit petitions up to the United Nations, the Secretary General of the United Nations. So we will be sharing with our viewers and our support base and the people of Zimbabwe in general on the way forward. But suffice to say that we have got plans for petitions, petitioning the European Union, petitioning the African Union, petitioning the SADC region, petitioning the UN, petitioning the United States, right to the White House in Washington, D.C. And we'll be very clear on that. And apart from just petitioning on the restoration of the rule of law and stopping the abuse and brutalization of the people of Zimbabwe, we'll also be along the way investigating and identifying assets of those leaders, assets, funds externalized from Zimbabwe that have caused the economic meltdown that we are all bearing, and with the hope that will ensure that any money externalized illegally by money laundering or externalized in any other fictitious manner, our team will take legal recourse to get that funds and assets back to Zimbabwe. And yes, we've got plans for that. Yes, this is only a beginning. Yes, the journey starts here.
Okay, the next question concerns the fact that you are targeting the children. Some people tend to feel that the children are innocent. It's not their fault that they were born to the parents that they are born to. What is your comment on that? Do you think that it is unfair to target the children of the ZANU PF ministers and officials?
I think you need to understand from a diplomatic point of view, when you, just like, for example, if you are a Zimbabwean, today, if you want to come to UK, you need a visa. Whether you are a 6 months baby, you need a visa. In 2000, 2001, okay, you didn't need a visa if you're coming from Zimbabwe. But the government of UK, when they put in place the visa system, it will include everybody. And globally, it is the case. Yes, if you look at it, the EU and UK targeted sanctions on specific individuals, and that included their families. Because the families are part and parcel of that person. And especially if we are talking of children who are above 18 years of age, they can make their informed decision to leave ZANU PF if they so wish and support any other political party, and they can speak against their own father. So yes, it is not unusual. Actually, it is the norm diplomatically that when you say this family is banned from traveling, it means this, even a baby, a 1-year-old baby, a 6-month-old baby, will be classified as such. And at the end of the day, what we are saying is we want those children to go back and tell their parents that yes, we have realized how bad your governance is. It is important that you change course for the benefit of, because the children is the future. Yes, we do understand. I mean, we are advocating for a fairer Zimbabwe, a fairer system that is fair for all, a prosperous Zimbabwe that is also prosperous for all. ZANU PF or any other political party for that matter. But that is not the case for their fathers and parents. So what we are saying is, their parents, they closed the Cambridge education. Their parents denied millions of Zimbabweans access to Cambridge education in favor of ZIMSEC. Those kids that have been denied that chance are as good as Takuzo Kasogwere. Some of them as young as 6-year-old. They've been punished by the same government. So what we are saying is, let's stop the hypocrisy. If our children are to start in Zimbabwe, as this government is saying to save money, then theirs must also start in Zimbabwe. That's the case.
Okay, I think still on that one, it's a little bit related. The next question, should Robert Mugabe's family also be petitioned? Should the children be petitioned to tell their father that they should listen to the people? Should Grace also tell her husband that it is time to let go?
Indeed. I mean, Zimbabweans out there and our viewers, and also ZANU PF in particular, they must understand that these petitions could be unnecessary 20 years ago. And the reason why we are escalating them is because they are escalating violence. And also, you know, they are trying to suppress the rediscovered voice of the citizens. And we are saying no to that. It is not a criminal offense to say that you failed as a government. And it is not a criminal offense to say that your time is up. You have no clue of governance issues after 36 years. And it's not a crime to say we cannot be led by a 92-year-old president. It's not a crime. So yes, we are saying today also, although the petitions that we have today were specific to Robert Mugabe and the government and the police brutality, and also Kaskwere as a result of using children as a conduit of externalization of funds. But we are going and we are coming to all those children, for example, that you've highlighted, Mugabe's children, if they are going to be sent abroad for education. We know Bona was. I'm sure Bona is now back in Zimbabwe. But it's suffice to say that we will be coming after everybody. It doesn't matter which part of the world. We are now a global village. We've got all the instruments and the audacity to get there, and we will do that.
Okay. I think unless there's anything else you want to add.
What I want to add quickly is that Zimbabwe is out there. I mean, this is the time that we must be very much united, and it is very important to pronounce the unity of purpose, and that our end game is that this government, we don't want this government to run the elections of 2018. We want a national transition authority between now and 2018 that will prepare for free and fair elections, where all stakeholders can freely compete on a level ground. That should be the language for everybody, for every political party, for all civic groups, for citizens out there. And we are on the winning side. Let us not despair. We are on the winning side. Tomorrow the chasers will be the chased, and we will get there. A luta continua. Victoria.
A luta continua. Okay. Thank you very much for enlightening us on your visit to 10 Downing Street, on explaining why petitions are effective, on explaining why children are not necessarily being personally targeted, but we're looking at how their parents have also impacted on the children of other people.
Yeah.
Also on the fact that the Robert Mugabe family also needs to be petitioned. Yeah. And lastly, on your call for a national transitional authority, which is going to take care of governance issues while we prepare for free and fair elections.
Indeed.
Thank you, viewers. We had right now there's still some people viewing, and thank you very much. We've come to the end of this talk show. We'll announce the next one in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.